Guardian ran this article that you see on the left here recently, and it's called Is Food the New Indie Rock? And the comparison tickled me, first of all, because I'm a music lover, and the music I love has shaped who I am as much as my love of food and cooking has. So this article definitely spoke to me. But the parallels it draws between indie rock's quest for authenticity and its do-it-yourself mentality and the current natural and slow foods movements is pretty much right on. Incidentally, and in support of drawing these parallels, one of our previous examples, Jamie Oliver, also started out as a musician, and he only just quit his band less than 10 years ago. But that's not my point. To say that natural foods and indie music are similar, what I'm saying is this. People interested in natural foods careers are independent thinkers who want to be authentic. They love food. They have a strong interest in health and wellness. The reason you would choose a career in natural foods is that it matters to you. You're not afraid to go off the beaten path in order to be true to your values and interests. We, here at the Natural Epicurean, are the same way. When this school was founded, it was the only one of its kind in the country. And you'll find thousands of kindred spirits throughout the natural foods industry and all of its offshoots. I'm going to move right on to the next section, which I called Revolution. When I was about to graduate from the Natural Epicurean, I was asked to write my own personal mission statement. And what I wrote was to be a leader in the natural foods revolution. And this was 10 years ago in 2001, long before Jamie Oliver, who I swear I do not know and I am not obsessed with, started his food revolution. When we look at what has changed over the last 10 years and what changes are yet to come, I think you'll agree that this is indeed a revolution. 30 to 40 years ago, when people like Molly Katzen and Martha Rose Shulman were starting out, this was unsettled territory, and people who ventured into it were on the fringe. Natural foods as a consumer market was off the radar for the most part. But now, in the last 10 years, two big things have happened to push natural foods and healthy eating into the limelight. One, unfortunately, is that our country has got fat and sick, and it's due in large part to healthy diets full of processed foods. The second, is that an increasing number of consumers have started spending more of their money on health and wellness products and services, creating a new consumer segment called LOHAS, which stands for Lifestyles of Health and Sustainability. So need and demand caught up to these pioneering free thinkers, and now we have a $290 billion marketplace for healthy goods and services. The New Marketing Institute recently reported that up to 80% of consumers show at least some green motivation. That is not a fringe movement. That is a revolution in the way we eat and live. And to be at this stage of that revolution is awe-inspiring. Doors are opening like never before, inviting people like us in to transform existing operations and institutions. Food and wellness entrepreneurs are starting new businesses, services, and brands. The job market is expanding for people whose culinary training includes health-supportive diet and nutrition education. This leads us to our next section, which I have called Rewards. Before I move on, let's take another minute to see if there are any comments or questions about the previous section. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm hoping everybody's still with me. Oh, there we go. Somebody's there. The name of the woman who writes for the New York Times now is Martha Rose Shulman. It's good to know you're still there. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to move on. So let's get down to jobs, which would be the more tangible rewards. Oh, Jeffrey, I see your question now. I'm going to get to that one at the end, okay? And if I don't get to you, someone from the Natural Epicurean is recording all of these questions, and they will get back to you for sure. So if somehow I forget you, Jeffrey, someone will get back to you. Okay, I'm going to move on to, you bet, I'm going to move on to rewards, because this is where we get the real tangible outcome of choosing a career in natural foods. Of course, you could choose more traditional culinary paths. Even with the education you get at the Natural Epicurean, restaurateur, caterer, chef jobs can be found at spas, retreats, restaurants, hotels, cruise ships, supermarkets, schools, hospitals. There are also new kinds of food businesses for cooking jobs like vegan and raw foods restaurants, gluten-free bakeries, and meal delivery services for people on special diets. And more and more conventional operations are creating special diet menus. So a chef with training in natural foods and healthy eating has an advantage when interviewing for these jobs. Now, there are other jobs that are more recently developed, and I find them exciting and interesting. A major employer in natural foods retail is, of course, Whole Foods Market. Their stores now offer more prepared foods and in-store dining. So there are definitely more cooking jobs available at Whole Foods and other natural food stores than ever before. But even more interesting to me are the jobs where the 1-2 punch of culinary and dietary expertise is put to the test. Whole Foods has a position called a healthy eating specialist, and this is basically an in-store expert and consultant for shoppers. And this is part of the Whole Foods Health Starts Here program, which will soon expand to include wellness clubs that will be more or less support groups for people making the change to healthy diet and lifestyle, and they will be off-site. There's also a job called a local foods forager. This is like a talent scout, somebody who is always on the lookout for the best new local suppliers, manufacturer, and products so they can be sold in Whole Foods stores. And the last one on that list under Whole Foods is category buyer, which isn't exactly new, but it's still exciting because this is the person who oversees a particular section of the store, like frozen, and evaluates products based on Whole Foods standards and the interests and needs of the customers. Jobs like these last two can also be found in natural foods distribution and brokerage. There are jobs also like merchandisers, where you're working sort of for the broker and for the manufacturer in the store at the store level, communicating with the buyers, communicating with the customers. And then there are product development jobs with food manufacturers. All of these are jobs that open up career tracks that include, but are not limited to, the kitchen. We already spent some time on media, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it here. We looked at the food revolution, recipes for health, but it's evident that there is more room for creative and ambitious chefs whose talents include writing, research, and entertainment, all of which are necessary ways of engaging the public in this conversation. Now, granted, it takes time to develop this kind of career track, but if you're so inclined, there is room for more. You could become a brand in and of yourself. Another option is to become an educator or a consultant. This could look like being a health coach. Here I use the term stealth health. And what that means to me is helping people make healthier choices and set goals that are attainable and relatively easy to integrate into their lives. Schools and healthcare institutions need more educators who can teach both cooking schools and basic concepts of healthy eating. And at the institutional and private levels, there are opportunities to develop recipes and menus that will replace existing ones. As you'll see in our next section, some of our graduates are already in these fields.